What's up, Transparency Crew? Okay, so I've been wanting to talk about this for a minute now. So I'm going to be talking about, I have my phone here. I'm going to be talking about spoiling what therapy is like, how I feel working through real life situations, and how I chose my therapist. So I started getting therapy about 3 years ago. It'll be 4 years in June, I believe. It'll be 4 years. That's crazy. So I had just recently had a kid, and my husband and I, we were trying to do the best we could, and child, with everything going on and me trying to manage as a new mom, I already knew that I was going to need therapy. So I decided, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna get me a therapist. So I got me a therapist. What I did is I used Google, honey. Scarlett, sorry, my dog is going to town with the scratching. Where was I? Yes, so I used Google, honey. Okay, I looked up therapists in my area or whatever, and it was, I think it was like psychology.com or something like that, and that's where I found her. And when I say she is the best therapist I could ever have, like, she's the best therapist. And I'm sorry if the lighting is not like crisp. I just wanted some natural lighting. I didn't want to turn on this boo-boo brown, orange, yellow, purple light up there. I didn't want to do that today. But I found her on Google and I reached out to her. And my first session, I feel like she needed some wine, child, because the way I just started going off on a tangent, like therapy, woo! When I say like therapy was like the best thing for me, it has been really the best thing for me. And I have a black therapist. No shade to white therapists at all. I just felt like I needed a black therapist for me. Black people, we deal with certain things and certain struggles that we just need our people to listen and hear to. So I'm not trying to be that person, but you get what I'm saying. You understand. So that's what I got. And so my first session, like, I just was like, oh my God, you know, I just had a baby, blah, blah, blah. Like, I was just telling her everything, and she was just listening, honey. So what did it feel like for me to do that? It felt like relief. I had all this pressure and built up. It was like I was a pressure cooker. You know, you got a pressure cooker, you turn it on the side where it's supposed to be like, you know, not blowing off the steam, and then when it beeps and it's finished and all your food is done, then you let out the steam. That was me, okay? And when you open up the pot, it's just like a beautiful sensation of smells and food and everything. This is a horrible analogy, by the way. But that's how it was. I was a pressure cooker, okay? And all my feelings was like heightened because I had just became a mom for the first time. Byron was a first-time dad. We didn't have no children before, okay? So this was all new to me. You can see some pictures of Lila. You could kind of see it. I'm not going to break it down because I'll knock it down and break it. But it was refreshing. It was really refreshing. And I guess I should have asked my social media people what questions do they want me to answer. So I'm going to just answer questions off the top of my head. I didn't even think to do that. But that's how I chose my therapist. I just Googled it. It's not like it's not no like specific way. You just search a specific therapist if you want it. So when I first started going to her, like, I was going to her, I think every Wednesday or Thursday. And I wasn't working at the time. I was a full stay-at-home mom. I feel like I was a stay-at-home mom pretty much for like 2 years. I wasn't working a job. You know, the pandemic happened. Everybody was just at home. And thank God for them stimulus checks. And my husband was still working. But he was, you know, he was working from home. But that was how things were going for us. And I just felt like sometimes I was losing my brain cells. Because trying to figure out this new thing of being a parent, you know, managing my marriage, trying to deal with what life was giving me, which was the pandemic, and then trying to deal with being at home all the time. I really wasn't able to go out. I feel like the dishes was stacking up. I was door dashing so much food. That's how I became a cheeseburger, and that's how I also lost my weight, because I started working out. That's another story. But it was a lot for me during that period of time. So a therapist was so needed. And so my therapist had brought it to my attention like a month or two ago, that she had said that she could tell I used to talk about things that was around me outwardly, and now I talk about my inward problems. And she seen that that was a transition for me. When I say my therapist, first of all, my therapist believes in God. That's one thing. That's huge for me, because I talk about God. You know, like what he's telling me, what I feel like I'm supposed to do, blah, blah, blah. She gets me. You know, like if I would have been lined up with the atheist, and that's no shade to atheist people, if you believe that there is no God, that's your thing. I'm not about to fight you. Not gonna fight you. I couldn't resonate with somebody that's a therapist and decides to say that they don't believe in God, because you're not gonna understand me. Does my therapist probably agree with everything I do? Probably not. But she doesn't judge me. There's no judgment. She listens to me. You know, she tells me certain words and terms, and I'm gonna talk about that. So she told me, well, I had kept telling her every session, like a long time ago, I was like, I feel overwhelmed. Like, I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed. Like, I kept saying that for a long time. I probably stopped saying that realistically June of last year. So like 6-7 months ago, whatever, how many months that is for now. Child, I can't count. I just stopped saying overwhelmed as a word. And she told me, this is a key part. She told me, she said, you know you could choose your words, right? I could choose my words? I got choices? Like, let that sit in. You come home from work, right? You be like, I'm so frustrated. I'm so sick of working. I gotta cook. I gotta clean. I gotta blah, 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 blah. I'm tired. I'm frustrated. You could choose a different word for yourself. And when she first told me that, I was like, this is an aha moment. But this is also like, this is kind of crazy sounding at the same time. Not that she was crazy, but the way she was like just telling me, it sounded foreign to me. Because what you mean I could choose my words? If I'm overwhelmed, I'm overwhelmed, right? And when I decided to choose a different word, it was like that took some pressure off of me, because I don't have to be overwhelmed. I don't have to choose that word for myself. So that's one thing. My therapist taught me you could choose your words. And I was like, cool. Which also leads in, you have choices. And I was like, I do have choices. I've come from a background where I never really had choices. For example, I was raised to go to church every Sunday, right? Now, I have my own relationship with God, and I have found him for myself. So it's not one of those things like, oh, I grew up in church and I just believe Jesus died on the cross and I said, like, no, I have encountered, like, you know, situations where, like, I'd be like, God, you hearing me? And he showed me, he listened. He does indeed exist, right? So I only, out of 18 years, when I lived with my mom, out of 18 years, I only missed church twice. Twice. I didn't have no choice. My mama was not about to tell me I could stay home. Stay home for what? You got a cold? You better get up on that altar and rebuke it. You better get some blessed oil. Like, dang, can I take some medicine and cough at home? Can I not cough on God's people? You know, that's neither here nor there. But I didn't really have a lot of choices. I couldn't really choose what to wear. It was always given to me. Like, my mom used to make me wear certain stuff because she was like, you're an example of me. And it's not like I was trying to walk out with just a bra and some stockings. It's just that she didn't like what I was wearing because she felt like it didn't represent her. So my therapist has taught me choices. And I feel like that is so important. That when you learn that you have choices, you can choose. And that's crazy that I had to learn that, but it's reality. I have choices. So let's do another one. She's also told me to give myself credit, okay? So giving myself credit. Okay. So I always say I'm a recovering perfectionist, right? Because I used to try to do everything. When I say everything in one day, everything in one day. Like my brain would tell me like if I needed to clean, I needed to clean the whole entire house from top to bottom, not take any naps, any breaks or anything. And that's what I had to do because I didn't give myself a choice. That goes back to choices. Let's go. Oh, this side profile of me is cute in the camera. All right, let me stop. But yeah, so like I felt like I had to do everything in one day. I remember the doctor told me when I was about to have Lila in the hospital, I thought push her out, but I had an emergency C-section. But she told me, she was like, you can't do everything in one day. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, and I didn't really get it until I don't know when. It took time. Like, I used to didn't think napping was a thing. Like, I knew people took naps, but I automatically thought people was lazy for taking naps. Yes, if I offended you with that comment, I am so sorry, but I am no longer that person no more. I take naps now. Is it still hard for me to take a nap sometimes? Yeah, because I want to be on social media, but like, I never really rested. Like, I never took care of myself. I never told myself this task can wait. Like, everything don't have to be completed. If you make a to-do list of 5 things and you only got to 1, my therapist will say, give yourself credit because you could have did none of it. And if you chose to do none of it, that's okay too. You can either show up, you can put all in if you need to, or you can pull back. That's another statement she would say. You can that's just like with boundaries. Boundaries. Oh my goodness. My therapist taught me boundaries. I have taught my daughter some boundaries thus far. My daughter knows that when I tell her I'm about to have my therapy session, that I give her tablet, a snack, some juice, and I be like, look, you gotta wait for your daddy to come home, and you could just be downstairs doing your own thing for however long until dad gets here. And she be like, oh, you need some space? My 3-year-old has asked me, you need some space, mommy? Because she knows. Like, I know that's crazy probably to y'all that a 3-year-old asked that. But honey, I had to teach my daughter that because I feel like that's important. Does she still come into the bathroom with me? Yes. Can I use it in peace? No. No, but I try to tell her, like, this is privacy. I need some privacy. But yeah, boundaries. Boundaries are huge. Huge. I used to have so many friends. As soon as I started them boundaries, I have what, 2, 3 friends, and I'm okay with that because I have boundaries. I'm not gonna give you my time if I don't feel like I can give it. I have to think about myself first. I used to give freely all the time, and when I used to do it, I used to be pissed. Like, I don't feel like doing this. Well, that's your fault because you decided to show up and you didn't have the capacity to do so. So boundaries is a huge thing for me. Boundaries. Anytime I feel like somebody crossing, I'm boundaries. I have to let them know. And my therapist and other therapists have said, even though you express your boundaries to people, you have to keep reaffirming your boundaries. Like, even if you say it one time, people will try to cross it, or somebody might get mad. And if they get mad, they not the people for you. And most of the time, if you don't have boundaries, the other person don't have boundaries either. And then that's why y'all clashing all the time, because there's no boundaries. Also, my therapist has taught me when it's something new, like, give yourself grace. Give yourself grace for whatever it is. Let's say you start a new job. They give you training for it. And you got, 2 months of training. And then you automatically go to the floor. You probably freaking out if you feel like you don't understand the information. And that's okay. You do not have to be a perfectionist at your job. Because if you die tomorrow, they gonna replace you and put an ad on Indeed, honey. Okay? Like, give yourself credit for showing up to the job. Give yourself credit for going through that training. Give yourself credit for still wanting to try, even if you feel a little lost. You have to give yourself credit. And when she used to kept saying this, I'm like, dang, how much credit am I going to give? Am I going to even want to do anything in life anymore? But once you realize you have been in survival mode for so long, these things seem foreign. They seemed foreign to me. And some of them still kind of seem a little odd. But the more you practice it, the better you get at it. Honestly, like, my husband has boundaries with me and I have boundaries with him. Like, for example, I'm going back to boundaries if you haven't realized it. But boundaries, like me and my cousins, we talked about having boundaries when it comes to a bank account. Are you going to share a bank account with your spouse? Are you going to have a savings account with your spouse? Or are you going to have two separate individual accounts? Yes, I'm crossing a boundary if, well, not let me say that, but like, we have discussed that we're on each other's credit cards, we're on each other's savings accounts, but the checking, honey, I don't want him on my checking account, because I don't want him thinking he got money to blow or vice versa and there's no money. I'm thinking I'm about to go get my hair and nails and toes done, and you didn't snatch that up for a video game. That would make me mad. So that's one thing. I don't know if I'm running out of space on my camera, child, because it's saying 4 minutes left. So she also challenges me. Like, she does ask me questions. One time there was a situation where Byron had did something and I didn't really necessarily agree with what he did. It was like a chore around the house, child. And she was like, but did it get done? When I tell you she ate me up with that one, did it get done? Yes, it got done. It did get done. Did it get done the way I think it was supposed to get done? No. But it made me think, like, dang, this is why men don't be liking to do stuff half the time. Because if they feel like we micromanaging all the time, like, that's why they don't want to do nothing. They want to just, they want to be told what to do, and then us trust that they gonna do it right. Do they mess up when they do it? Yes. But yeah, I love my therapist. I'm definitely running out of memory storage. I love my therapist. I recommend anybody to try therapy. It's not like, I don't know. Some people feel comfortable at first, some people don't. Ease into it. You don't have to tell your therapist every single little detail. If you need to create a little boundary at first, or if you need to create some boundaries and keep them boundaries with your therapist, that's cool too. But don't put so many boundaries up that you don't get like nothing out of the session. You know, like, give what you can. If you need to pull, go forward, go forward. If you need to pull back for a little bit, pull back a little bit, you know? So I recommend it. I love therapy. And if you try therapy and you feel like that's not the therapist for you because you just got this gut feeling, then try somebody else, honey baby child. Don't stick with that therapist and you feel like it's not for you. Find somebody that you really want to be like talking to, because that's what makes everything so much better. So I'm gonna wrap this up. I've been running my mouth for like, what, 20 minutes now? When I edit this, it'll probably be 15 or something. But yeah, thanks y'all for watching my video. If you have any questions or concerns or want me to touch on anything, let me know and I'll make a part 2. So yeah, this is gonna be my thumbnail. And then I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.